What's up YouTube? This is going to be your guide on how to use Kyurem Black in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'll be providing competitive movesets and some fun meme movesets too. If there's a Pokemon you'd like to see me cover, put it below in the comment section. And if you enjoyed these, they help you out, drop a like and let's get into it. So earlier on we did Kyurem White. Now we're going to have a look at Kyurem Black, which is virtually the opposite to it. It's far more of a physical attacker compared to a special attacker. Now, looking at its stats, we got an insane 170 base attack. Crazy high. And some pretty good health, defenses, and a reasonable speed stat. Nothing absolutely amazing there. Dragon and Ice typing. And we got Terra Volt, which is basically, Mold Breaker. So the first set we're going to have a look at here does work in singles and doubles. Definitely. It's just such a powerful user. So it's, I would go and say it's probably one of the best or the best loaded dice user in the game, just simply because of its attack stat and the moves that it learns, right? So we're going to have a Dragon Dance set here, which is a great move for Kyurem Black. It's already got a really good attack stat already. And Dragon Dance sort of patches its average speed stat, right? And when I say average, it's more average for, legendary, rule sets and play like that. So we got Dragon Dance, which is a good move for it. We got Icicle Sphere. So that's going to be hitting 4 times minimum, and it's a multi-hit too. 100 base power after 4 hits. 125 if you do roll the 5th. And it's 100% accurate too. So very good move for it. Scale Shot is the next one here. So we've got 2 multi-hitting moves, which are both stab, which is very nice. The thing about Scale Shot, it also increases its speed too. So you can essentially go Dragon Dance and then go Scale Shot, and then you're virtually going to outspeed everything. And you're not compromising your attack stat at all by going like Jolly. So that's why I like to go adamant on this, because you've got so many options of boosting its speed just by attacking, The last move I've got on here is Terra Blast Fire. I quite like Terra Blast Fire on Kyurem Black. I also think, number one, it stops you being burnt by anything like Will-O-Wisp. And it's a good resistant to Fairy-type moves as well. And any, Dragon-type moves, at least a neutral. And, fighting and stuff like that. I quite like that. There is one other option you can go of it, which is, equally as good or, possibly better, depending on what's on your team. So you can actually completely scrap Terra Blast, and you can give it Fusion Bolt, right? So Fusion Bolt is a nice, powerful electric type move. Now, I would definitely change that to electric then. And if you're going to run it with something alongside Miraidon, it's going to be a really powerful attack, definitely. Especially with Terra Electric, it's a nuke, right? So with running it alongside Miraidon and then Fusion Bolting and Terra Electric, yeah, just a powerful coverage move for sure. If you do take out a fire type move, you somewhat can only hit steel types for neutral though. But it's still going to be a pretty hard hit, but you sort of get rid of that, chance to hit, super effective on a steel type. That's sort of like one of the drawbacks. And you can get burnt as well. I guess being a Terra Electric, you can also not be paralyzed too. So that's some options there for Kyurem Black. And really, it doesn't run too differently in doubles, in my opinion. The EVs, you could change a little bit, sure. We'll get to that in a sec, but you could definitely run a loaded dice set in doubles, absolutely. I absolutely don't see why you couldn't at all. All right, next set I'm going to have a look at here is going to be a Wall Breaker with Choice Span. And then we'll have a look at some, specific doubles and VGC sort of sets. So I just thought this would be funny to look at, like a Kyurem Black with a Choice Span, because its attack is so freaking high. So this set has got Fusion Bolt, obviously, so you could still run it on an electric terrain. Now, I know that Outrage isn't a really great move, but if you play it correctly, i.e. you don't leave like fairy type Pokemon left, You'll be able to get like some good use of that and some crazy damage if you don't like Outrage at all, which I can absolutely understand. You can put Dragon Claw on it too, so 80 base power Dragon Claw. And then we got Iron Head for fairy types, a good resistant type too. Pokemon like Extreme Speed Arceus, they can come in and do Terra Normal after you've used, say, maybe not this set, but after you've used Scale Shot a few times there, if you're opting for that, and you've got, you know, you've used that a few times. You can definitely, or even if you haven't, you can still resist stuff like that with being a Steel type, right? Stone Edge I like to carry on here for Pokemon like Ho-Oh, because if you don't have a, if you look at like this sort of set here, I mean, barring an electric move, right? If you don't run Terra Blast, or you know, if you run Terra Blast Fire, you don't have Fusion Bolt, Ho-Oh can be quite a pain in the butt too. But you know, Stone Edge will just completely demolish it in one shot. So, and that's another good option to run it. So max attack and max speed, Adamant Nature. You could run Jolly on there if you wanted to as well, because its speed stat isn't, you know, the greatest thing. That's the thing with the Kyurems. Their speed stat sort of affects them, but you know, this with Dragon Dance it's such a powerful Pokemon, and it almost is a near sort of flawless set. But Scale Shot, you know, you got to drop the defensive stuff. You've got to get Dragon Dance up and Scale Shot, so you got to get those things going before I can do that. All right, let's have a look at some doubles now. All right, so I was talking about that loaded dice set being good in doubles. This is pretty similar, actually. And technically, if you did have a Tailwind user on your team, you could absolutely not run max speed, for sure. You can give it some more bulk in health too, right? Absolutely. So first, I like to run Protect on there. If you don't want to run Protect, you can put Dragon Dance on there. So you have an option. Scale Shot, Icicle Sphere, Fusion Bolt, Terra Electric with Miraidon. So Miraidon, you get the Electric Train up. You know, a common Miraidon. So I've done a Miraidon guide, by the way. A common Miraidon guide is like Choice Specs or Choice Scarf. They're quite good. Or, you know, you could, or Electric Seed or something like that. But it's going to be setting up an electric terrain, right? It's going to be, you know, boosting up your Fusion Bolt. So, yeah, that's what you can do. Or you could just pop on Dragon Dance on there. Literally, you could do that and it's still fine. As for a Tailwind Pokemon, you could try that as well. So you wouldn't probably need... You almost wouldn't need much speed at all. You could run Adamant as well. You could just put, like, say you wanted... like even 28 or something like that would probably be enough to outspeed it, and then dump the rest of the health so it's got some more bulk. You could do that. But a 252 straight one could work there quite nicely, for sure. If you didn't run Dragon Dance, I'd go Adamant, because you're not boosting your attack at all. If you've got Dragon Dance, you can probably get away with Jolly then. Because you'd have to go Dragon Dance, and then if you couldn't go Scale Shot right away, there might be an issue there. But I quite like Adamant on there. I think it's got the bulk to actually do that. So, you know, take that one whatever way you like there. I don't think there really isn't too much to use on there for a double set. Honestly, like, you could do a Choice Band set as well. Like, that choice, I'm not saying this particular one, but that could be all right. Or you could do Assault Vest on there too. Now, obviously on Assault Vest, you wouldn't run Scale Shot. That's not going to be a very good move at all. And then, yeah, I think I've done this in my next one. Let's have a look at that first. All right, yeah, here we go. So I wanted to do like a bulky Assault Vest set. Now, I know that the loaded dice set is pretty damn good, right? But I wanted to try something else out here that didn't rely on it, that was tanky, and that could still somewhat work under, say, a Tailwind. So Fusion Bolt, of course, just for coverage. Avalanche is actually an interesting move that it gets, and not many people are going to probably run this, but that's a 120 base power Ice type move. Now, obviously, you've got the problem about going last, but it's more of like, this is more of like a support style set as well, a tanky set. So we've got Breaking Swipe there for dropping attack of both Pokemon. And then we've got Terra Blast Fire as well, more of a defensive one. And then you got Avalanche as well. Now, you can have, you could have something a bit better than that. Icicle Sphere is actually going to go first, but it might be weaker. It might only hit two times if you take off the loaded dice. And then you've got other weak moves like Ice Fang. So I thought, well, I could give up speed and then hit really hard with 120 base power. That's not going to be bad. 96 in health, 252 in attack, Adamant Nature, 140 in defense, and we've got 20 in speed there. Just for Tailwind, you might want to give it a little bit more if you're concerned about other Choice Scarf Pokemon, right? Depending on what's on your team, you could give it a little bit more than that. Assault Vest sort of really fixes up its special defense. And yeah, you could, like, this could absolutely run in the snow as well. That would be useful. Well, not this particular one, but it can run in the snow too. The thing about it is it's not, in my opinion, its Terra types aren't so good for ice. It's good for bulk, but I think electric or fire are the best on this for an offensive set. Absolutely, it just suits it really, really well. Or rather than go Terra Ice, you could try Terra Ice. I just think that coverage move is quite important. But you could try Terra Ice if you wanted to with the Icicle Sphere. I'm not saying it's not going to be powerful, but getting that Terra on the coverage move is very, very important. All right, so we've had a look at a couple of sets there. I think they're pretty straightforward on what you'd have on Kyurem Black. Let's have a look at some other sort of gimmicks here, and then I'm going to suggest some teammates and some counters and have a look at some other stuff here. But seriously, this is a really, really good loaded dice Pokemon. It's almost made for it. I guess the only negative of this set is you have to drop your defense, and then it becomes prone to priority moves. Like extreme speed, sucker punch. Those sort of things. Okay. All right. So this is I actually did something similar on Kyurem White for its signature move, but I wanted to see what you could do with Free Shock. So sadly, this is really the only powering up move it gets, or 2-turn move for physical. So Free Shock is its signature move. So we got 140 base power, and it takes 2 turns to charge. So you've got Power Herb on there, and you've got with Adamant Nature and Terra Ice, this is gonna drop so hard. And then you've got its other moves like Dragon Claw, Fusion Bolt, and Stone Edge as well. So, bit of a gimmicky take on there. It's a little bit of a shame it doesn't learn something like Acrobatics, because you could go like Free Shock, and then you could go Terra Acrobatics, and then that might be useful. You could have like Dragon Dance, Free Shock, Acrobatics. That'd be interesting. Kind of like a Temu Roaring Moon or something like that, but not with more steps. I thought that could be something interesting to look at anyway. Let's take a look at the PIMPNITE special set now. So this is a critting special Kyurem Black. I mean, 120 base is nothing to laugh at for special attack, but it's just when you've got like this other ginormous stat, like no one's ever going to use it except me. So we've got Snowscape, or you've already got your snow set up by like Alola Ninetales or something. Then you got Blizzard, Draco Meteor, and then you got Substitute, right? Now, what Lancet Berry does, it gives the same effect as Focus Energy. So you've got a 50-50 chance at getting a critical hit. If you want to, start trying to achieve that, you can go Substitute and sub down to activate your Lancet Berry, right? Or you can go, you can attack first and then sub down, something like that. I go with Terra Dragon because Draco Meteor is like a very spammable move with crits. In this case, you've got a 50% chance to crit every single time. Blizzard's not really worried about that, but Draco Meteor is. So, bit of a fun set there. Take that one as you like. Let's have a look now at some teammates and stuff like that for this. Now, I was thinking in doubles, right? I don't know if this is going to work. It might be okay, but you might be able to run it alongside an Annihilate. Now, the reason I say that is you might be able to do a Rage Fist sort of combination here. So you could do you'd have to do something like a really, really supporty set that doesn't have any attack EVs or anything like that. And then hit Annihilate, with all those, a couple of moves there. and then to boost the power of its Rage Fist. So that could be maybe a combination you could try out there with Annihilate to boost its Rage Fist. That could be good. Incineroar is a good partner for sure. That's a very, very good partner with Intimidate and Parting Shot. That's really good. It's actually very similar to Kyurem White, a lot of the Pokemon. You've got a Ninetales. Ninetales Alola isn't as good as Kyurem White, though, because this is more encouraging Kyurem White to use Blizzard and stuff, whereas a lot of the time when you use Kyurem Black, you'll start out at Ice-type, which is all well and good, but primarily you want to do a Terra, Electric, or a Fire, at worst a Dragon or an Ice. So you've got some more options, I believe, for offensive Terra compared to like Kyurem White, and that's my opinion there. Another good one another not bad one would be Terrapagus as well. That's not going to be a bad partner Pokemon at all. And you might even be able to run this under Trick Room too. A good partner Pokemon can be Kyogre as well. That can definitely get rid of some of the counters. Water Spout Kyogre. I have done a guide on Kyogre already if you want to check that out. And then, I was going to say Urshifu is always good as well as a rapid strike. So that can get rid of some of your more countering Pokemon there. Another good one I was thinking you could put on there would be Zacian too. Zacian Crown would be good. That sort of just gets around the fairy side of it. And the fighting Pokemon too. So you've got something for that. Zacian Crown is also quite a good counter as well, being a steel type Pokemon. So is Necrozma. Necrozma Dustmane is a good counter. Kind of similar counters to Kyurem White. Some other good counters, more hyper-specific ones. I was thinking Arceus, but like a fairy Arceus. That would be quite good. It's quite bulky too. So Fairy Arceus would be a good one. Another thing about this Pokemon is I was talking about Arceus, this normal Arceus too, with like extreme speed. That's going to be good against those scale shot sets. If it does use them, it's going to drop its defense a lot. Steel types, we've sort of already mentioned them already. And also slower Pokemon. So especially on these speedy Dragon Dance set, Trick Room Pokemon. Anything with Trick Room or that's really slow or is able to get Trick Room up fast is going to be an issue. I'm thinking like Calyrex. Calyrex would be, Ice Rider Calyrex. That's going to be a big problem for Black Kyurem for sure. They also work well as partners too. So yeah, you could try and make one. I think I was looking at this with. Let's make like a Trick Room set. I did this on my other Reshiram. I want to see if it's actually usable. Okay, so we want Brave Nature to begin with. Do we need max health? Okay. Yeah, so it is pretty slow. Let's change its moves around though. This is going to be more of an offensive set. So we got Fusion Bolt's obviously very good. I think that Rock Slide's kind of interesting. That could be interesting, like for flinching and stuff. Iron Head could be cool. That's where that Terra Steel could come in, like Terra Steel Iron Head. That could be kind of neat. It does get Dragon Claw, obviously. So Fusion Bolt, Dragon Claw. That's not too bad on a physical set. And you might run something maybe like Protect on there. That could work. Or if you want an ice move, there's not really amazing ice moves on there. If you're not running, say if you're not running ice, you've got Ice Fang and Freeze Shock. It actually doesn't have many options outside of Icicle Syria. That's why I went Avalanche on the other one. But you might not actually need to do that. You could just have that. Another good move. I quite like Rocks. I kind of like Rock Slide on there for like Ho-Oh and stuff like that. Because, this gives it good coverage, right? So you could do that, or you could just pop Protect on there. That could be another good one too. Why, say a Calyrex Ice Rider is setting up, setting up a Trick Room, so that could work under Trick Room as well. Just some different ideas than the standard sort of set that you've probably seen before. So there's some good counters there for sure, and some good teammates. I'm just trying to think if there's anything I can actually add to this. Let's have a look at Kyurem Black's stats and moves and stuff like that. So status moves, we've got Dragon Dance. That's going to be on a lot of the sets. Does have substitutes. You might be able to go. I don't think you can do sub and Dragon Dance. I don't know. Maybe Dragon Dance sub and Ice and Scale Shot. Maybe that's just two moves there. Interesting enough, they do get imprisoned, but I think the most common move that you could try and imprison would be Dragon Dance or maybe Blizzard or Dragon Claw. They seem to be like the most common ones. Apart from that, there's not too much there for this Pokemon, and you got physical moves. So, as I was saying, outside of Icicle Sphere, it really has poor physical choice for ice moves. You've got negative priority Avalanche. Body Presses doesn't have enough defensive stat. Dragon Claw, that's going to kind of be about it, unless you want to go for Outrage. And then, that's why Scale Shot. That's why Scale Shot is called, like Loaded Dice and Scale Shot is really good on it. It doesn't have any more multi-hitting attacks there at all. Zen Headbutt's kind of interesting for like Psychic types, but it doesn't really add too much to the table. I don't mind Stone Edge or Rock Slide for those flying types or fire type Pokemon. That can be, reasonable. And Iron Head's good for fairy type Pokemon, and maybe flinching on that Trick Room set if you wanted to give it a go. It does get Dual Wing Beat, but that's always going to land 2 times regardless if you got loaded dice or not. Yeah, there's not too much else there, and of course the specials. I mean, the special side's got some alright moves too, but I think you can even try. You can even on that support set, you could even put like Sheer Cold on there. Maybe you could just drop that on there. But I'm just trying to think of some other options for it. There's really not too many more. It's primarily like this set is primarily the best, in my opinion. Or if you have something like Tornadus isn't bad as well for setting up Tailwind, so that can be good for that. But even with those Dragon Dance sets, and Scale Shot sets, generally a lot of the time you don't really need Tailwind if you've already got that set up. It's kind of true, right? There's no need for it. So unless you're running, I don't know, unless you're running Dragon Claw and not running that, then that obviously that would make sense. And some other, maybe Corviknight wouldn't. I was also thinking it is sort of weak to. Goldengo wouldn't be too bad. Goldengo wouldn't be bad for any of those fairy type Pokemon. It'd have to be wary of like fire types and stuff like that too. But it would be good for fighting and it'd be good for fairies. So that wouldn't make a bad Pokemon at all. Neither would Aegislash. I know Aegislash isn't in the game, but I was just thinking that could be, that could be something decent there. I mentioned Kyogre already. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Honestly, that's pretty much it for Kyurem Black. It's a fantastic loaded dice Dragon Dance sweeping set. It's very, very strong singles and doubles, for sure. And it's just a great physical attacker. And if you don't have a priority move and this is set up, it's goodbye mostly. And you can couple it with Miraidon as well. For Hadron Engine, that is really, really strong with Fusion Bolt. It's crazy. It's a really, really good, really, really good combination of Pokemon there. Well, that's going to be the end of Kyurem Black. Now, I think I've got maybe 4 or 5 legendaries left, and I'm going to move on to all the other Pokemon. So if there's any of those Pokemon you'd like to see me do, or sooner than others, put them in the comment section, and I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, drop a like, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.